Hello, everybody, and welcome back to M&J Games. I am Michael, and today we are now in episode 11 of Wildwinds. This park is really coming together. As you can see, it's truly a mega park. I've got a couple things kind of highlighted out here where I want to, with a little bit of the extra build space, want to build like an administration office, possibly warehouse, stuff like that. So we'll see. But in this episode, we're going to be focused on coasters. And I don't know how much actual building I'm going to get done with. It's going to be more based on looking at the last two coasters that are going to be placed here. And I ended up scrapping that RMC that I had before because I just wasn't a huge fan of the layout in terms of the space. And because I wanted to kind of go off in this distance a little bit more than it did. So that's what I plan on working on. And then, you know, I do want to my thought is putting a launch coaster here, but we'll see if that kind of ends up working out because I feel like with the space, it's not going to work properly. And I'm going to go to Dollywood this summer, which I'm really excited about. And I really want to get on Wild Eagle just because I think the view of it kind of going up the lift hill and kind of how it kind of goes with the terrain is really cool. So I might end up doing a B&M wing coaster instead. But we'll play around with a couple ideas and see. So that's what this episode's going to be about. There's really not going to be much building other than actually looking at the coasters. And so I'll see you guys on the first update. All right, guys. So here's the first update at the last two coasters that are going to be in the park. And obviously it's going to look a lot different when this is actually done. And as you can see, had to mess with the terrain. The tricky part's going to be when I put it in the other park, because as you can see, Giga Coaster's gone. This coaster's gone as well. And the reason is I've got to build this in a separate park, save these two as a blueprint, place it back in the other park, and then save the overall blueprint, which I will show you at the end of the episode how I'm approaching that. But here's kind of the idea that I have so far. And there's a couple things I might tweak with the RMC, which I am going to custom support it, and there might be a little bit of footage of that. We'll see how it goes, because I am going to record it, but we'll see when I edit it if it's worth putting in the video. But this first drop kind of took some Iron Gwazi inspiration. It's definitely really quick going up there, and the only thing, because this death roll right here, but the issue that I have that I'm going to correct is I went the wrong direction with it. Actually, no, I didn't. I just didn't roll it quick enough. Okay. Because then it's supposed to roll that way. It might just be going too fast to do a death roll. Because I was trying to approach it as Iron Gwazi's death roll. But then you come over here, and one thing I've noticed too about the more recent RMCs is they have a lot of these kind of elevated little airtime hills. Normally, with a lot of coasters, the coaster goes back to ground level, whereas these kind of stay up high. And then you come over here, and I might do the supports like that Zadra has and stuff for this part right here, for that kind of little bit of a zero-G stall. Then it comes back around as it loses a little bit of speed over here, but then it gains it coming back down here. And then you've got a 270-degree turn. And I might have to change this going the opposite way, just because of how this turn right here then turns quickly to the right. So I might change this to where instead it goes right, so then when it turns back, it's already turning in this direction, just to create a little bit less G-forces there. And then you come around here at the end, and turn around, and then you got a two heartline rolls. Still need to smooth it out a little bit because it's not perfectly smooth at all by any means. So definitely still need to do that. And then, which I'm thinking about kind of putting here, kind of this being a food spot or something, like a bigger building that kind of houses the food for the area, another restroom spot, stuff like that. Because then here we've got the coaster Wild Eagle, which, you know what, now that I just noticed this is too close to that queue path. So I'm going to have to adjust this coaster. Let's see if I can move it at all. If it'll let me move back at all. So something like right there. Yeah, because then I can... Yeah, and so the thing that I'm going to have to figure out, which might be a little bit tricky, is how am I going to get a maintenance track in here to where it can be accessed? Because the idea with this is I want it to be like Wild Eagle, where you kind of got a hill going up for part of it. So it's almost like it's supported on the hill a little bit. And then that back part, you're not really going to be able to see much of that from the path because I am going to mess with the terrain some, mess with the terrain behind here a little bit. So we'll see. I think this is where the thing ends. There might be a Oh, I just got to work with that a little bit. But obviously, this will look different when it's in the other park, and I'm not going to be decorating it or not decorating, theming it up in this episode. This will be next episode. But yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys an update on where I am with these two coasters. So I'll see you on the next one. So we're here at the front of the park, and as you can see, the Giga Coaster's gone for right now. Just the supports. Yeah, now the reason why I'm back out here is because I want you to see the views. Oh, that is just awesome. So it's, no matter where you're at in the park, you are going to see the view of that custom supported lift hill on that RMC. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's not perfect for my first time doing it, but it's definitely really happy with it. And there's so many, like, gosh, so many good sight lines from right here. Obviously, you got the Giga. You got that clock tower in the distance, that Zamperla coaster going by it. Obviously, that in the background. And then there, you've also got that B&M wing coaster, which it looks a lot bigger than the drop actually is because the terrain behind it is a lot more elevated. And so that's why I'm showing this view, just so we can kind of see as we go the different views of the coaster. And I'm going to show you guys what I had to do, because when you when you take off the supports, it doesn't allow you. Oh man, I gotta get more janitors. This park's getting a little dirty. When you take off the supports, it doesn't allow you to have the catwalk. So I decided to make a custom catwalk. But yeah, I mean, think about this. You're sitting down here, eating some food, and you can just watch that part of it. That is really, really cool. Really happy with how that turned out. And so let's go up this way. The long trek around the park. Which, by the way, I'll mention at the starting next episode because I need to change the signs. But thank you for everybody who voted and came up with name ideas for these 4 rides. And I will give you guys a shout out at the beginning of the next episode, because I do need to get those signs changed. And I've got them all written down. I can't remember every what the names are off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, this was really fun to do. I think the front part of the supports aren't perfect, just because it was tough to figure out how to support it when I have the coaster kind of turning like that halfway down. But overall, really happy with the look of it, and we'll go in more detail in a second. Then I custom supported this area too, which it's not like Zadra or Goliath, where I had it going perfectly parallel with the lift hill to where I could easily have the supports kind of just extend out, which I originally extended them out and it just didn't look as good. So here I just decided to continue that custom support, which, we got some floating ones there. So I think it gives a pretty cool look, especially from right here as the coaster comes through. Let's see, where's the coaster at? Oh, it just went down the hill. And so I'll show you guys the layout in a second. But as I said before, really happy with how this turned out. And yeah, it's really cool. I feel like it's just kind of a quick kind of jerk right there. And I've tried to get rid of that. But I think just because of how I had to have the coaster turn afterwards, it was really kind of hard to eliminate that aspect of it. But yeah, so then over this way, we have the Sky Screamer. Just kidding. We have this coaster here, and now obviously this is not the main park, but I was just trying to mess with the train a little bit, trying to get some kind of idea of what the train might look like a little bit. But I do want to have kind of a nice sign and entryway, and I like the elevated station. I'm going to try to incorporate the wing coaster idea of having a dual loading. But there's just going to be, I'm going to have to see kind of with the train and everything, gonna have to make that work. But just the views, I'm really happy with how the views turned out. And I'm really excited to kind of work more and see what it'll be like once it's all fully fledged out in this area. Yeah, so that's enough with Plip Cam mode. Let's go ahead and we're not going to ride these yet because I'm going to show you how I'm placing them in the other park. And I want to make sure that before I place them or before we ride them that we can get to see kind of the full outline of the park. Like we're missing the Giga Coaster and the B&M coaster right there and stuff like that. But yeah, so here is the layout. And so you can see with both of these that the coaster gets to the top of the hill by the time that other coaster's already gotten through the block zone. So I just extended the wait time in the wait time that's required in the station. And so sometimes it's cutting it a little bit close, but it'll be fine with guests who are having to board and stuff. And so this kind of goes out a little bit into the wilderness and then kind of works its way back as you kind of have a long, it's not necessarily a stall. I mean, it stalls a little bit. But there's a lot of moments that I've noticed RMC starting to do a lot of this, and you never, ever really see this from other coasters except for kind of the old Arrows, is a lot of these kind of little hills when the coaster's already really elevated off the ground. And so I tried to incorporate a fair amount of that. You got double down, and now it probably goes a little bit too fast through this element, but I was trying to do a somewhat of a death roll like Iron Gwazi has, so it's not quite, because it doesn't quite do the 540 spin. It does basically a 360 and then spins on the turn. But these tried to have a lot of this. It says there's only 3 airtime hills, but obviously, as you can see, there's in theory a lot more of that. And then we've got this double heartline roll at the end. So really, really happy with how it's turned out. I feel like it's a pretty smooth coaster. Man, wing coasters are tough to get smooth. I don't know if y'all have the same issue, but this is not perfect. It's pretty good. It's not perfect, and I'm just tired of smoothing it out. I think for the most part, it's pretty smooth. This is, a custom Immelman. So as you can see, it's probably about what's the height on this one? I guess I haven't started the test. Let's go ahead and start the test so we can see the stats. But it's not quite all green, which is fine, because some of that's because of my long brake run that I have here. But my idea is to have the transfer track here. I'm going to have to, I don't know what I'm going to do with the transfer track on this one. I'm going to find a way. My thought was kind of right here, and I'll find a way to kind of have a road coming to it. But yeah, overall, really happy with this layout. I'm going to have it definitely be very wooded, so it kind of feels like you're flying through the trees. So maybe like a name for it could be like Eagle's Flight or something like that. But yeah, let's see if we can get the stats. Yeah, so lateral G is maybe a tad bit higher, and I think that's probably because of this turn here. Let's see, 68 miles per hour, biggest drop, 151 feet. So I mean, it's a little bit taller than some B&Ms, but also this height is almost 200 feet in terms of the difference from here to here. But obviously it doesn't drop 200 feet. Oh, and what I forgot to say, if we look at the stats here, is this is by far the tallest RMC and also the fastest RMC in the world. So that was not my intention to initially do that. I did want to get over 200, and sometimes the height's a little bit off too, especially since it drops a little bit lower than the path. So yeah, now one other thing I want to point out, and I know I'm talking a lot, but one thing I want to point out here is doing this custom supported catwalk here. It was actually not difficult at all. The difficult parts were this part down here, which you can see it's not perfect like it is up here in terms of everything being spaced out properly. And then the top part was tough as well. And, just trying to figure out what to put here. I still got to put some of the control boxes and stuff. I need to add lights. That'll probably be at the end of one of the last episodes where I kind of go around and do all that stuff. But how many pieces is it? Let's see. So 766 pieces, so about 1% on the counter. But I feel like it's worth it. Now, one thing I could do is I could delete this whole side if I really did need extra space, because the RMC, like if you look at Iron Gwazi, it's only got it on one side. So essentially all this right here doesn't really matter and need to be there, and it actually does look like that, like if you're watching a POV, because these are the exact structural pieces that are used for Iron Gwazi and all that stuff. But I might make another layer of this to kind of have two of them. We'll see though. But yeah, so let's put that back. And it was pretty easy to make, because once I made a section or two, I was able to just copy and advance move it and move it up into place. So really happy with how that's turned out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save these two coasters, and I'm going to save all this as well. Which, you know what? Actually, let me get rid of these three first. All right, so now I'm going to save it as a blueprint. I'm going to save it as, actually, don't let me. Because one thing that, if anybody doesn't know, is when you save a blueprint, as long as you are in the same part, or the same park, the orientation stays the same. So I'm just going to call this Wildwinds 1, or WW1 for Wildwinds 1. Say blueprint. So now I'm going to save this park as 11 extra. I'm going to load up the other park. So I'm going to load up this park, and I've dug this out a little bit, just because once I place these, I won't be able to do anything with the terrain until I've made my overall blueprint. I need to make sure I can place down the ride in the proper spot. So I might have to adjust this again, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So let's see, is this the WW1? So like you see, the orientation's the same in terms of the direction it's facing. The height's not the same though. And that's the one thing that annoys me, is that it's like, why couldn't you just make the height the same? Trying to remember. Okay, so that's clearly. Try my best to get in the right spot before it gets placed down. Yeah, I think that's pretty close. So we'll go with it right there. Now, in terms of height wise, yeah, this one can go down a little bit. Because I need to. You know what? If I do that, I need to make sure I'm doing all the supports and everything with it, because that would not be good. So let's see. So that one, yeah, that's good for that one. And now a way for me to check on this to make sure is this is actually going to narrowly miss. So I just need to check and see. Okay, so that's not right, because that's hitting it. So we're going to have to shift this a little bit. It's supposed to just narrowly miss it. Let's see. Okay, still not quite yet. So I think that's going to hit it right. Ooh, that might actually clear it, but we're not going to risk it. Sorry, one more time, because I think it still is just a tad bit. Now let's see. One of the tedious parts about using the glitch is trying to make sure everything gets placed perfectly. There we go. Now I know that's going to be good. All right. Yeah, because this path was fairly close to that. So Now I place this one. Now I need to place this one in the right spot. And the key is, okay, so that needs to be placed back a little bit more. I think it was about right there. Let's see. So I need to make sure I give myself enough space there. And then now I need to lower it a little bit. Or you know what? Could keep it that high. Yeah. Now the issue... Oh, you know what? I might end up choosing to custom support part of this. And the reason is that once I save as a blueprint, I will not be able to do anything with the coaster at all. And so now, you know, and I can't mess with the train yet either. And so essentially, oh man, this is not going to be perfect for the POVs either, just because of kind of going through the train. So you know what? I'll load up the other park to show the POVs. I just wanted to be able to hopefully get the full view of the park. Like this part here, when you're coming through this way and you see the the Zamperla coaster, the Giga coaster, the Wing coaster right there, which is going to have a really big hill that's going up. Looks really, really cool. And so now I'm not going to do this part yet because I haven't completely figured it out. But the key is I need to figure out what my 4,000 pieces are that I'm going to save as part of the blueprint. I might use some of these. Oh, you know what? Shoot. I made a mistake. All right. I need to make sure to copy all that because it didn't move it properly. It's not letting me move that. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so it was this way a little bit. Let's see if that works. Once again, but yeah, so we're gonna switch over in a second to look at the POVs. But as I said, I'll get this placed in the right spot off camera. So I still got to move that a little bit. But as I was saying, you know, in terms of pieces, I could have these, those, and just to kind of give you an idea too, if we take those two coasters, we take this coaster here, if we take all the supports, actually, no, let's not worry about the supports, right? Actually, now let's not worry about these supports for a second. So we take the coaster, that's 4 rides, and that's right around 4,000 pieces. Okay. And then we take this coaster here. So if we were to delete that, that still gives me 17%. That means, not counting these coasters, right, that I've got 17% to finish this area, which, I mean, really, if we think about it, it's going to be like a couple buildings, coaster station, and that kind of thing. So I'm thinking probably about 8% or so to finish off this area, which means I'll then have anywhere from 6 to 10%, kind of depending on how much I use over here, to work on finishing up a lot of the final touches, adding lights, adding park benches, adding trash cans, doing a small maintenance area here, a small one here. I would like to do an admin office if I have the space, but I definitely want to do a warehouse here, and I want to kind of have a road coming around this way to the back of the park. But yes, we've still got a fair amount that we can be working with, and so in the next episode, before I leave you with the POVs, we're going to be hopefully doing the stations, and then kind of working in this area as well, because I definitely want to have maybe a little restaurant or something, a little food place or something here, as you kind of walk up and you kind of get to this flat portion here. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm going to leave you with a couple POVs, and hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.